Hey, welcome to New Jump City, everybody, where we recap the week in American and Japanese sequential art. I am your host, Christian, the unbiased king. That was a little low. I am Christian, the unbiased king. That's better. Espinal. And joining me through Discord, it is the man, the myth, the legend. It is Joshua. Gangsta Time Cole.
Well, it's called partner, but it should be called Gangsta Time.
Good everybody. What up, Chris?
Hey. It's just us today, the dynamic duo. Brian couldn't make it today, so it's just us. Very excited nonetheless. We got some manga to talk about. We have Sakamoto Days, the finale of Jujutsu Kaisen. We have Undead Unlucky.
Sheesh.
And we have Undead Unluck. But first, we have plugs. You can find me at the Chris Espinal on Twitter and Instagram. Joshua Cole, where can they find you?
At JD Cole _37. That's on Instagram, and at New Jump City Josh on TikTok and Twitter.
Ooh, yeah. Brian is at b.esp on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow the show itself at New Jump City on Twitter and Instagram as well, and TikTok. You can email the show at newjumpcitypod@gmail.com with any questions, suggestions, anything you guys want to talk about that you want to hear us yap. If you like listening to yap sessions, we do a pre-show chat show every week. Not this week, because it doesn't feel right to do it without Brian. Yeah, usually we do one and we answer email questions. I know we have a couple emails from our guy, our resident question asker, Mike B, but keep sending them because we love a backlog here. And if you have any questions, any thoughts, anything you guys want us to talk about, we will answer on the pre-show chat show. I hope you guys have been enjoying that. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, Castbox, Pocket Casts, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're pretty much on every platform. Pocket Casts. We're on every platform imaginable. We're on YouTube as well still doing the thing on there. We don't have video quite yet. We're still trying to figure that out, but please subscribe to us, like, share the podcast, keep us alive in the algorithm. It would be pretty sweet. And that's it, really. That's it for plugs. Let's get into our show.
Bloody Cross.
Sakamoto Days. This is Sakamoto Days, chapter 184, Told Ya. Last we left off, we've been on this arc where Shin has infiltrated the JAA prison in search of a renowned fortune teller who has like super duper ESP and is able to train Shin in his own ESP. So that is what we're trying to get to here. We meet an inmate on the first level of the prison named Joe Shackles. He rules, and Shin has been trying to cause enough trouble to be sent to the lower levels of the prison, and he seems to have finally accomplished that when he just causes Joe Shackles to be buried underneath a bunch of storage containers. And he's actually pissed. He's like, "What'd you do, you snot-nosed punk?" And he's like, "I already told you, you tripped all by yourself." And Joe Shackles goes over to fight him. He's like, why are you such an attention seeker? Don't expect me to pamper you." And Shin is currently... Oh, were you trying to say something, Josh? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Wait, you're cutting out, man.
As a secret. Yeah, loading the chapters up, it does that.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so, he's going after Shin. Shin is currently handcuffed 5 times over, actually. And he's coming over to slap him around with handcuffs. But Shin manages to dodge all of them because his ESP is getting a little better, just instinctually, which is pretty cool. Hisuke peeps over to one of the storage containers and finds just fish and he tosses one of the frozen fish over to Shin, and Shin smacks the shit out of Joe Shackles with a fish.
LOL.
With a frozen fish. And he hits him so fast that Joe Shackles doesn't even realize what he was hit with. He like smells his hand after touching his wound. He's like, fishy. He said a yellowtail isn't a weapon.
Yellowtail isn't a weapon.
He said you're dead meat. And Boiled is like, hey man, if you keep helping him, he's gonna come after you too. And Hisuke is like, no, I don't care. My buddy's life is on the line. Of course I'm gonna help him. And Boiled is like, why are these guys so hard boiled? And so Joe Shackles unleashes a bunch of handcuffs towards Shin and swings him through like a ton of shipping container shelves. And he calls over his control room and asks them to drop the temperature in the room another 10 degrees. He's like, sorry, shitty boy. I was hoping to reform you, but you've gone too far. And he smacks the shit out of him with this fish. He said he needed to get his lick back.
Yellowtail.
Yeah, he needed to get his lick back for that. No one slaps anybody with a fish and gets away with it. It's at this point Shin's body starts to freeze up because the temperature is actually starting to get to him. And Joe Shackles is about to deal the finishing blow, but then Boiled gets in the way and takes the hit. And he's like, I'm at the end of my rope, Boiled. Why? You know what will happen if you cross me. And he starts to think about how after he lost to Sakamoto, things went south and he took on illegal work. And he ended up being arrested and put into the JAA jail.
He became a loser.
Yeah, he became a loser. But seeing how Shin and Heisuke stood up for themselves against Joe Shackles reminded him what it really means to be hard-boiled. And he breaks Shin's shackles open, freeing him. And Joe Shackles continues the battle, tries to swing at him with the handcuffs again. Shin starts to think about strategy. And he remembers about Joe Shackles calling the control room, and he tries to go for it. Tries to find the control room. He finds it pretty easily using his ESP, and he manages to break. I don't know what happens. Oh, I think he like controls this guy telepathically in the control room. Yes. And tells him to like break the power breaker or whatever, and it shuts out all the power in the room. And Shin is able to finish Joe Shackles off with a super cool and very well drawn punch, knocking Joe Shackles out. And he's sitting on him wearing his coat. Joe Shackles like, it's cold, please don't kill me. And Shin's like, I don't intend to, but in return, you're gonna transfer us to B2. And then we cut over to to Atari's room, where the guard is remembering her talk about how there will be 3 lives lost in the prison, and they notice that 3 dead cockroaches are on the floor. And she's like, see? There's 3 dead cockroaches. 3 dead lives has technically been lost. And that's where the chapter ends. Josh, what did you think about Sakamoto Days, chapter 184?
I think at the end of the chapter, my first thought immediately was, there's no way only 3 cockroaches died in that entire prison. Just no way.
Yeah. You think more cockroaches died?
If it's only 3, people ain't doing their job.
That's true.
There's this curse from the series named Jujutsu Kaisen. Don't know if you've heard of it before, for anyone listening. But Chris knows.
Yeah, we only talk about it every
There's this certain curse. There's this very specific curse that is born from fear of cockroaches. You cannot fear cockroaches if they're all destroyed. Anyway, I like this chapter a lot. It was a nice conclusion to the fight with Joe Shackles. I mean, your boy Shin came through and he smacked him with the Yellowtail. I knew he was gonna win the fight. Not that I thought that was a critical blow or nothing like that, but he's having too much fun.
Yeah.
And Joe Shackles is formidable. His what I think is his biggest weakness is his like emotions, and he couldn't handle that. After he got smacked with the fish, everything was downhill. I mean, sure, Shin caused the domino collapse. That got him on the ground and opened the box of the fish. But if Hisuke didn't have the courage to toss him Yellowtail, Joe Shackles would have won.
Yeah.
Shout out to the hardballed guy.
Yeah. Boiled.
He was finally useful because he was acting like a bitch the whole time. He was really scared. I mean, I get it. Joe Shackles is strong. But yeah, man. I don't know if Shen grew in this fight per se, right? Because he already had these abilities. I think. I mean, he used his brain to put two and two together to understand that, like, the what do you call the control room is like near the warehouse. I guess based on the contact clues. So that was smart. But I'm sure he could already make his mind control reach that like far enough. I don't know if he ever did it into like a place he wasn't sure if there actually was somebody or not, or if it was definitely there. I took a risk, and that was cool. I think you know how it goes with these training arts sometimes, right, Chris? I mean, sometimes they learn something new. They actually get really good training at the end of it. And sometimes it's like, oh, like you were trained on the way to me. This was the training. Look how much you've grown. And I don't hate that, but unless it's written really, really well, it always feels like a cop out. I don't really have. I'll tell you this, one way or another. I don't. It's not that big of a deal because Sakamoto Days doesn't strike me as the type of introspective. I know introspective is not the word. Like, just they don't have that type of growth, with their characters. It's kind of just moving along, things making sense and us being entertained.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess those are all my thoughts. You have any rebuttals, or you want to get straight into your thoughts?
No, not really. I the one thing I will say is that I don't think there's anything that kills some momentum than getting smacked in the face with frozen fish.
Yeah, I couldn't handle that either.
Yeah, I feel like,
and I'm not half as emotional as him.
Yeah, I would have been taken out of the game pretty quick. I think I would have just sat in the corner. It's like, you got it. I just got smacked in the face with a Yellowtail.
You know who's really emotional right now?
What?
My cat.
Who?
She's been singing and my cat Coco. She's been complaining at the door this whole time, like, cause Nikki won't let her in, and it's like, I'm right over here. You can hang out with me, Coco.
Yeah, it sucks not being the primary human.
That's fucking crazy. Nikki could just give her all the food and treats then. All of that, if she want to act that way. Oh, now you want to come over here? Because I called you.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta let yourself your needs be known.
Yeah. Or bad. Anyway, I don't know. I forgot what you were saying.
No, yeah, it was just a Yellowtail thing. But I like this chapter overall. I don't think it's gonna be a thing where the training was the friends you made along the way. I feel like it's gonna be a combination of both. I feel like Shin's gonna get better as he progresses through the levels, and Atari's probably gonna help him like sharpen the skills that he gained getting there.
Yeah.
Or at least I would hope so. I feel like
it's
it's
unlock a new level of,
Yeah, because I feel like this chapter represented like a slight improvement. Is just like kind of a natural, just like improvement by using his intuition. So yeah, I did enjoy this chapter a lot. I hope this isn't the last we see of Boiled. I hope he also ends up at the bottom with them, because I like Boiled. I like these kind of characters that are just like, it's like Senior Pink is back with us again.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
It would be nice if he followed them through this arc. If he just was with them, like he
Yeah.
got sent to B2 also.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, because I just find these characters entertaining. Like this.
He could stay in jail though.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe not.
It sounded fucked up, right?
He could stay in prison.
He could stay in assassin jail though.
I never thought I'd hear you say that about somebody. He could stay in jail.
Well, this is different. This isn't the American legal system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Anyway.
reserved. This is reserved for characters I'm not too crazy about.
Yeah. Yeah. No real legislation here,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's all I gotta say about Sakamoto Days. I mean, it's so fun. I love this art. This one page where he punches the shit out of Joke Shackles is part of the things that I love about Sakamoto Days and its art style. I don't know what it is about this kind of like sketchy, rough kind of style that really speaks to me.
Yeah.
But
Can I show you two other panels that I thought like were also like excellent?
yeah.
Sakamoto Days-esque. All right, so we could start with page 7.
Mm-hmm.
As Shen is getting tossed through the carriage containers, which now that I think about it was a nice petty touch because he got hit with the containers, so he was like, "Yeah, now I'm gonna send you through several of them."
Yeah.
Several, yeah. So, but you see how he's just getting swung through them? That's nice with the
Yeah.
chain going through the panel.
That's really cool.
That's like, yeah, that's just a nice touch. I don't even know how to explain that. It just looks fucking dope.
No, it's awesome.
And then there's also on a lesser scale, page 12, when you see him skidding back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, he's not skidding back. He's like slamming the chain down as Shen's avoiding it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks so dynamic, right?
Yeah.
It's rough and clean. It's like it reminds me of One Piece.
Yeah.
That rough polish style.
Yeah. I think Jujutsu Kaisen does this really well as well.
Yes. Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen does the rough polish well too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is just one of these things that really like sells movement, just like really fast but impactful movement. Is this kind of sketchiness?
Yeah.
Like it's a blur. It's moving so fast, but yeah. But that's what really I gotta say about Sakamoto Days. Really fun chapter. I'm ready to move on if you are.
Yeah, but before we move forward, you know what? Yeah, let's just move forward because let's not spoil things for people who are just sticking to Sakamoto Days
All right. Let's
and are not caught up.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
Bitches get shot. It get heavy.
Now I will say it. Now I'm gonna say before we start. Sorry.
Wait.
Before we start. Oh, you have to get out the. All right, do your thing. Do your thing.
No. Say what you're gonna say. It's just funny.
All right. Right now, what I'm doing is rolling up a blunt.
Mm-hmm.
There's this it's symbolic.
Okay.
You've heard the term putting people in the pack, right?
Yes.
So like nowadays we refer that to like winning and losing, like defeating someone or something like that. But truly where it began is on the drill music scene and even a little bit before that, just like, in certain hoods. And people would talk about where I first heard it from is in Chicago, like from Chicago people. And they would like, if they killed somebody, they would say, "Oh, we got so and so, whoever died in the pack. Like I got this." So let's say if somebody named Tom got killed, like so his the rival gang would be like, "Yeah, we smoking on that Tom pack."
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a kind of a disrespectful thing. I wanted to be clear when I say that I'm rolling up this Jujutsu Kaisen pack as we speak. I don't mean that in a disrespectful sense.
Mm-hmm. You're mourning.
Yes.
We're all mourning here.
We sure are.
As we get
Except for the My Hero Academia stands, they're rejoicing.
Are they rejoicing? Do you think the My Hero Academia stands are like, yes?
I have not kept my ear to the streets, but I can only imagine.
I don't think MHA fans are like praying for the downfall of Jujutsu Kaisen.
No,
I don't think so.
I think a lot of like I think a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen fans was like talking shit, maybe.
Maybe. But in any case, this is Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 271 from now on. The final fucking chapter. Boy, it's weird to say that. But this chapter starts off where we last left off. Somebody was feeling the after effects of some kind of curse, and Itadori, Nobara, and Megumi are sent in to investigate. They seem to think that it is some kind of curse, some kind of sorcerer that was a remnant of the culling game. And they're trying to figure out exactly what the deal is here. The sorcerer seems to be able to change people's eyes to an absurd degree where they look like over exaggerated chibi eyes, you know?
Yeah.
And this chapter starts off with Nobara coming out of, I guess, the bathroom with with one of the victims of this curse user. And she noticed that she didn't find a curse seal or a technique marking on the girlfriend of the victim. It doesn't seem to be a lethal technique, by the way. Nobody died as a result. So, yeah, basically it's like we didn't find anything. The perpetrator might be nearby if it's remote and not a cursed spirit. So, you know, there's that. And they ask if her boyfriend's face returns to normal. By the way, this is another thing I forgot to mention, is that the eyes seem to be a perception thing only on the girlfriend. Like only his girlfriend can see his eyes this way. And she's like, is there any set times where your boyfriend's face returns to normal? And she's like, I wouldn't know if it happened while I was asleep. So it's kind of he just kind of always looks like this to her. So, you know, they're kind of at a dead end here. There are always people here, so they're just going to like search around downtown to see if there's anybody who fits the description of what the girlfriend has seen. And yeah. So I guess that's their vibe. They say that anyway, we naturally need to get the girlfriend outside the curse technique area, then take down the perp when they reactivate the curse technique. And they take them to like a 40-floor condominium, take them all the way up to the top floor, basically. And at that point, that's where the boyfriend's face returns to normal in her eyes. And they notice the curse user, or the sorcerer, whatever the hell. And Nobara is already like, I'm going in. And there's this really cool panel where she like goes down the building. She jumps off the roof, but uses the hammer, her little hammer, as just like a stopgap or something. I don't know what to call it, just to keep her from falling.
Or building.
Yeah, it was really cool. And Itadori also makes it there.
The damage to the building, though, right? I mean, over a minimal curse user.
Well,
whatever.
As long as it's cool, it's forgiven.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah. When have we ever cared about structural damage? Huh?
I mean, come on. I feel like Jujutsu High would cover the damages of anything.
Fucking better.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Anyway, so Itadori and Nobara end up at the same place, and their eyes look gigantic to each other as a result of being close to the sorcerer. And the sorcerer tries to get away, but he's immediately intercepted by Megumi and the Devil Dog. And he reprimands Itadori and Nobara for lacking focus. And they bring the curse, the sorcerer over to the victims, and they say, "Do you know this guy?" And she says, "No, not at all." And this guy flips out immediately. He's like, "You bitch! How could you say that? I'm the one who bought you that bag." And it's like, "God damn!"
Why Gigi got her making that face?
Yeah, because she's like, "Huh?"
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. And then she's like, "Oh, like for real?"
Yeah. So it turns out that this guy used to work with her at a cabaret club, and he bought her that bag, and she doesn't remember him. And he's basically pissed because I guess she has a man now. And he's a hater.
He was trying to draw them away. Yeah, he was trying to draw them away so he could talk to her, I think.
Yeah. So problem solved, I guess. It all worked out. And this guy looks really sad in the car. Itadori goes up to him and is like, "Hey, buck up, man. You won't get the death penalty." And Buddy is like, "I don't know. What will I do now? I don't know how to convey affection, so I end up blaming the other person." And it's at that moment that Itadori has a flashback with his time training with Gojo. He tells Gojo that, like, "I thought you'd be after Kusakabe for replacement training." And he's like, "I would, but how should I put this? Satoru Gojo hardly matters now." And he's like, "The future and how I want you to face it." He's like, "If the worst happens and my wish and my dream, if the worst happens, it's my wish and dream that you carry on in my absence." So basically saying that, like, if I end up dying at the hands of Sukuna, then it's my hope that you guys are strong enough to go on without me, because he's been the strongest forever, and he won't be there forever. So eventually, his whole goal up to this point was to train students that could hang, to survive and to exist without him, without his protection. And yeah, he basically is like, "I'm counting on you, Yuji." And Itadori points out that he's like, "You already know where you went wrong, so atone and then come work with us. I'm counting on it." And I guess the kid gets taken away. And Nobara asks about that one thing. And Itadori mentions that he got rid of it. And he's like, "It's not dangerous anymore. It's the perfect ward." And he looks down at his fingers. He's still missing 2 fingers. He says, "So no worries." And it's at that point Itadori looks up and we get this weird scene with Mahito, out of all people, and Sukuna. So Mahito is just like, "Huh, you got here first, Sukuna." And Mahito explains that because his curse technique affects the soul, this is a kind of residue. This is kind of a residue of that. This place is a passageway for the circulation of souls. And he asked Sukuna that he's like, "You weren't lying to yourself. You were lying to yourself, weren't you? To yourself and others, about living as befits your nature." And he says that Sukuna's life is really about revenge and against everybody who scorned him as an abomination. And Sukuna's like, "It amounts to the same thing. That is my nature. So, I know no other way." And then he takes a minute. He's like, "No, that's wrong. I could have chosen how to live. I had 2 chances. And there's 2 people behind him. There's a woman who I believe should be Yoru. And I think the other one is Uraume."
Really?
That's my thought.
Oh, right. The one that was in Megumi's sister's body.
No, Uraume. Oh yeah. Yoru is the one in the sister's body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, "But I had to vomit out the curse writhing in my entrails. I was afraid of immolation by my own curse." And he says, "If there's a next time, maybe I'll change how I live." And Mahito is like, "But that's boring. You're gonna settle down?" And he's like, "Yeah, I lost." And Mahito is like, "But then I'm the only unruly child left." And he goes, "Rawr!" And we get a final 2 pages, all the characters reunited and walking on to their next adventure. We see Okotsu with Panda and Maki and Tokage. We see Hakari with I forget the star person. I forget what their name is. And of course Itadori, Megumi, and Kugisaki. And we see that little shed that houses the last finger of Sukuna. And that is how Jujutsu Kaisen ends. Josh, what are your thoughts about Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 271?
Well, we're talking about the chapter itself. I was pretty invested in the mystery. I thought it was interesting. It was nice, bittersweet, really, if I'm honest. Like seeing the three of them together. Itadori, Kugasaki, and Megumi. Team Seven vibes. Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, it was cool. I really enjoyed that. And when it was over, it was over. And then we got this little, this little dialogue between Sukuna and I forgot his name already, Mahito.
Yeah, Mahito.
And that was it. So I think the most interesting part of the chapter was the discussion between with Sukuna and Mahito. But I want to say something, right? So I think it's obvious, like at this point, like Sukuna understands that he lost, right? And I don't think he feel like, and I think it's important that he doesn't say like, oh, I was cheated or this or that, or I coulda, woulda, shoulda. He just said plainly, I lost. And in my opinion, I think I think Gigi wants to express it that way because it wasn't about, at least I don't think for Sukuna it was just about fighting the strongest person or keep on fighting the strongest people. He wanted to keep being challenged, and he wanted to be challenged by humanity as well. Like other curses, he like different humans, but humanity as a collective, and that's kind of what happened in this last fight. Humanity gave them all they could, and they won in the end. And I think that's kind of what the core of the series is about. It's really simple, it's about change and how you grow from those changes, I guess. Change and growth. Sukuna says it right here. Like, I had 2 chances, to grow into a different person, and he didn't. And he chose power. He chose to live his life, to punish or just continue to fight and challenge himself against, like other people. Until he was. I don't even want to say he was proved wrong. I think he just was shown that power can be more than just one an entity becoming really strong. It could be a collective, and that's how Sukuna kind of works. Like he's probably it is what it is type of person. Like, this is what the situation is, and whatever works for me is gonna work. And he was shown a different way through his own methods, through fighting. That people, if they come together, can be so much more powerful than anything else. Even the cursed king himself, Sukuna. So anyway, there's also like other themes in this like in this series that, like, I think like we see a little bit here, like in this story with the kid. This guy is basically like stalking this girl and using his curse technique to like harass people, which granted is not like the worst thing ever, but he could easily be seen as just like this loser ass creep that is going to get his just deserved punishment for what he did. But Gigi made a point to like he dedicated this whole little story, you know, like with the three kids and all of that, this mini mystery, I guess, just to come to this point that even though you made that mistake, you can be a better person. And I think that means so much to Gigi. Like, especially when when he spent almost an entire chapter talking about Japan's legal system and how people don't really get chances when they make mistakes, especially if you're not someone that's well off and that has connections. Um, so I think it's important to Gigi that he wants people to understand that we could continue to be better. And then, with Gojo, I think it's kind of the same message but expressed differently. Where Gojo's like, don't look at me as the peak and an ultimate goal. Have more ambition, be more creative, think about what more can we do to be stronger, or I guess other things like make society better, make Jujutsu society better, etc. I think that's what Gigi's kind of aiming to tell us through this story, like to don't be afraid of change, and be mindful of how you're growing, what lessons you're learning. You know, I would like to believe that, like, I mean, like I said already, I'm probably repeating this again, but like I think Gigi really truly believes that people, are good and or at least deserve multiple chances to be better people, and they most likely will be. Nice, nice stuff. I'm not. I didn't want to try to make this series out to be like way deeper than what it was. But as far as like I read this chapter like the first time and was just like, okay, nice last chapter. And then I realized, like, what? Let me try to put in some effort and think about this series itself, and what themes kept popping up, more than just the usual shonen stuff of work hard and try hard and don't give up. You know what I mean? I think, yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of droning on at this point. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the chapter, Chris.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for a long time. It's hard. I feel like my thoughts aren't fully formed, just because one thing about Gege is that love him or hate him, he really makes you work for it. Like he doesn't spell things out, and sometimes that could get annoying. But I think thematically, I think it's an important thing he does. But it's not so mysterious. I feel like there's certain things that I can kind of touch on, especially with the final discussion between Mahito and Sukuna here, comparative to Itadori's journey and what Itadori says to the kid. Where Sukuna says, "I had two choices. I had two chances. I could live." The first one, I can't imagine this kid being. This kid is either Sukuna himself as a kid, which that's also possible. This is probably him as a child with his curse technique, and how Mahito mentions that he was considered a monster back in his day, and this crying child could be Sukuna. And this is Sukuna just continuing to choose that part of himself that is still angry for how he was treated. And the other one is Yoru in Sumiki's body, which is more an embrace of love, what Yoru was trying to teach him. And he had two chances. He could have, focused on his anger and, lived his life for revenge, or he could have been with Yoru and had like just a better life overall that was enriched by someone who really loved him. And he chose revenge. He chose that part. He chose to give into his anger because he was afraid that the curse inside of him, like he wouldn't be able to live with it. He wouldn't be able to live with the resentment in the other life. And that's how I could be wrong about that. I don't really know. I thought it was Urume, but now that I think about it, it does make more sense that this kid is Sukuna.
I think it's Urome, actually.
Yeah.
And only because he says I had two chances, not two choices. It wasn't like a either or. I think he was trying to explain that there were two opportunities where he could have chosen love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's still, the thing is, I don't think that makes your assessment wrong or anything like that. It's just a little, it's just like kind of like, it's just a little different. I think you could still say that like he had two opportunities to try to be a different person one way or another and said, nah, fuck all of that. I'm still gonna like stick on this path.
My only counter to that is that the two chances is the first chance is representing that child. The first chance is his first life where he was in the Heian era and he chose that child. The second chance was Yoru in the current time. In his new life, the chances refers to his lives. And in both chances, he chose to be vengeful. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I also thought it could be Urame.
It's tough because
like walking with him because she just died.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because this kid doesn't look like Sukuna, so like the Sukuna we know. So I'm only assuming that it's Sukuna because I feel like
he was supposed to be a deformed abomination.
That's true. He was supposed, but I feel like that wasn't that a thing that happened to him more over time? That as he gave into curses.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm doing my own.
I mean, it's one of the
right
things.
Now because,
I mean, I don't think you're wrong either. I'm just like, I feel like thematically it makes more sense to be Sukuna. I don't know why it would be Uraume because Uraume is like, I don't think he met Uraume and Uraume has like a thing on the back of their head, like a little black spot on the back of their head, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Assuming that this is Sukuna, this is what my analysis of the
his
thing
twin.
is. It could be his twin. That's actually true. It could be the twin that he ate.
But I think his twin soul is still with Itadori.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Yeah, I mean he's practically reincarnated. No, his twin's soul reincarnated in Itadori's dad. And thus, Itadori was born from him. He is Sukuna's nephew, for lack of a better word.
Holy shit. Yo, Kenjaku, was his death satisfying enough? He got a good death, bro. I don't like that. He got to enjoy himself.
I don't know, man. This is probably something...
Like, Geto didn't enjoy himself. Kenjaku did. I'm annoyed with that, bro.
Yeah, and when Brian is back next week in the pre-show chat show, we'll probably talk about Jujutsu Kaisen as a whole. I'm kind of limiting myself to what's in this chapter for that reason, especially since I also want to catch up my thoughts on it because I'm hearing a lot of just general negativity for the ending of this series, and a lot of people don't like it. In fact, a lot of people are calling Gege a bad writer, which I guess you're within your right to think. I was thinking about like world building as a concept and how people, I feel like, misconstrue it, what its purpose is in a story from series to series.
Yeah.
A lot of people are mad
that people got real thirsty when they introduced America.
They got thirsty about that and the Heian era and all this stuff. And my thought about it is I think like world building like the importance of the world of a story is different from series to series. Because if you look back, the world of Jujutsu Kaisen was never that important. Like, Jujutsu Kaisen was a very focused story on Japan and Itadori specifically. Like Itadori is technically, I guess, a special person because he was part of Sukuna's family, but it's not like he was ingrained in it. You know, like he wasn't a sorcerer for the longest time. So, there's things happening in the world, and a lot of the things in Jujutsu Kaisen's world is to give it more color and a history and things like that. It's very basic world building. Uh, but knowing more about the world of Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be a better story. Like we could learn all we can about the Heian era, but what happened in the Heian era doesn't really matter in terms of what's happening in the present story. We know everything we technically need to know about the Heian era. Is that it was just kind of this free for all for sorcerers, where people would just fight each other, and it was a more savage time. But that's about it. That's all we really need to know. Nothing in the Heian era informs really what is happening right now. And I think that's by design. It's just like some things are created and some things are mentioned to add color and contour to the world.
That was well said.
I will say, though,
agree. I mean,
look, if you want to
I never
contrast,
put that much thought into it.
yeah, but
So,
a lot of people
I
did.
guess,
A lot of people are
Yeah.
like, what was the purpose of America coming into this? And the reason that the soldiers were brought in is to, influence the culling game more so that more cursed energy would be generated in fighting these non-sorcerers. It doesn't have to be this deep reason where we follow US military characters and see their point of view of everything, because they're ostensibly, for the purpose of the plot, like NPCs.
yeah, they're yeah, like you said, their main purpose was kind of almost like an afterthought, like to say, oh yeah, just in case like people want to say like, oh, like what if in certain colonies people just decide not to fight, like, oh well, that's where military is brought in.
Yeah. If you want to contrast as to
Yeah.
why this kind of thing doesn't fly for My Hero Academia, is because I think My Hero Academia's world plays a way bigger role in its story than Jujutsu Kaisen does. But that's something I could think about and, get back to it later. But I think like the reason My Hero Academia gets that kind of critique of they built this up but they didn't follow up on it, or they didn't explore this section of the world long enough, is because I believe that My Hero Academia, the world of it, is more important to the overall themes and story of My Hero Academia than the world of Jujutsu Kaisen has that importance on it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
They even went out their way to say that cursed energy is, I mean, like it's only uh, it's only a real concentration of cursed sorcerers uh and curses in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's all centralized. That's where that's where all of the major conflicts happen. So, you know, unlike in a series like My Hero, where other villains can do crazy shit in other parts of the world, there's a lot that can be done with that. I'm not saying it can't be done with Jujutsu Kaisen, but it was expressed in movies with My Hero Academia, and like whatever. I'm not even. I'll tell you this. I'm glad you brought up My Hero, because the funny thing is, if I had my criticisms of Jujutsu Kaisen is similar to My Hero, in that it would have been nice to get one or two more arcs of the school kids doing shit before shit got real. Like maybe before the Shibuya arc. I feel like maybe the Shibuya arc happened a little too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, like the way it went from the schools having that little tournament, you know, to like one little to like one other arc that was like a mission with those three brothers, with the blood and shit. And And then it went right into the Shibuya arc. So all I'm trying to say is we could have had a little bit more, but
I agree.
I can respect. I can respect the authors saying that they want to end the series, but I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen executed their series better, and compared to My Hero.
Yeah, I wasn't
what they wanted to do, what was expressed, etc.
Right. I feel like my Jujutsu Kaisen had a very on-brand ending. I know when I read it, for a second I felt like that's it. But
yeah, I had that too.
But at the same time, that is how Jujutsu Kaisen operates, and it's not like they did nothing. We have this overall like kind of theme with it. The story has touched upon like this concept of pushing back on traditionalism and conservatism, with Gojo paving the way for sorcerers to do things differently. Like he's created a new world that they can now mold. And
for positive, not just for the sake of things being different, but for a more a better quality of life for jujutsu sorcerers and hopefully society, Whereas like in the past it was just very, it was so rigid and didn't care about the lives of the sorcerers at all, or like it just prioritized secrecy and hierarchy more than anything else.
Exactly.
Which it was toxic, to say, to put it in super simple terms.
Yeah. What we see,
and it led to all of this.
Yeah, I mean, will we see the world they create? No, but that's shonen. All endings are pretty much open-ended, because this kind of positive, and their adventures continued into perpetuity is kind of like a thing with Jump, and I don't think it'll be very difficult for people to get away from that. Very few people have. But I don't know. I didn't hate this ending. In fact, I kind of like it, especially talking about it again and recapping it. I think it works. I feel like, people are mad that we didn't get a Sukuna flashback, but it's like we got a good perception of what Sukuna is as a person, and he doesn't need to be particularly deeper than that. It's like he said, he kind of boils it down. Sukuna himself boils it down to a choice, and sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes it is just someone deciding, how are they going to live their life in this moment. And in Sukuna's terms, he picked one way, and Itadori picked another. He picked a way of service and helping people. And to this day, he's keeping that,
Yeah.
But
I didn't even think about that from the beginning of how he wanted to continue helping people. He earned that through his experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I think him developing I think it was not like a just happenstance that Itadori was the one that ran into Higuruma. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that had an impact on Itadori. The way he, seeing the pressures that Higuruma was dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
how he considered himself a murderer and all of this, and Itadori just didn't look at him that way. He said, "Look, you made a mistake, but you had logic and reasoning behind it, and you didn't like the way things were happening, and then all of a sudden you got a superpower." Like, shit was crazy. You know what I mean? Who can say that happens, right? Like maybe he can atone. I mean, yeah, he's gonna atone for his sins in other ways, as as a jujutsu sorcerer and risking his life, I guess. But it's productive, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever. Anyway, I'm just trying to say the theme is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the theme is there. I mean, I don't know how meandering I sound. Just like I feel like very scatterbrained about it.
No, I don't think so. I think I sound meandering. Yeah. Actually,
no, I don't think so. I think we've touched on it. I think like a lot of people really expected a lot more from this series, and I don't know, maybe my expectations for this series were a lot more leveled. Like, I never thought we were ever going to get a flashback to the Han era, really.
I think it would have been nice.
It would have been nice. And these
Like,
things,
who would have been like, oh, boo, who, you know?
yeah,
Like, I
these
wouldn't
things would have been
upset
nice.
about that.
These things would have been super cool to see. I wish we had seen them. Sure. I mean, you know, the world of Jujutsu Kaisen is cool. It's interesting. So, you know, he did a good job in world building in that sense. But I think, like, when you're writing a story, yeah, you make a decision of how measured you want to be with it and what's the focus of it. And, you know, we had, like, One Piece couldn't be told without the level of world building it is. You know, like, the world of One Piece had to feel lived in. And I feel like Oda had a big emphasis on that when he started writing the story. He's like, this world has to have a history because the story is about history. And Jujutsu Kaisen is like, well, this world is full and it has things going on in it, and things happen in it regardless of Itadori and the main cast in general. But the story is about Itadori. And it's about Sukuna.
Yeah, for you know, there was a handful of times I was thinking, damn, is this really going to be about Okotsu and Gojo?
Yeah.
But he brought it back and
I've always
kept
found
the
it
theme
interesting.
alive.
I've always found it interesting as well that I think I read somewhere that Gege, like, Itadori, according to Gege, is someone that he personally wouldn't like. And I gotta read that quote again, but it is very funny how I feel like it's been, like, kind of misinterpreted. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to talk about with Jujutsu Kaisen, and we wanted to keep a focus to the chapter at hand, but this chapter is really, like, you know, you can't talk about a final chapter without thinking about the overall implications of it. We'll talk about this more, hopefully, next week when we do the pre-show chat show, and Brian's here and he can give his thoughts a little bit. But I hope this was good. I hope this was decent analysis. I feel like I've been seeing people say the same thing, as expressing a disappointment over what we didn't get with Jujutsu Kaisen, and not really seeing it for what it is. And, you know, you can not like what it is. You know, that's fair. I feel like Gege could have been a little more clear as a writer, a little less vague, and I feel like he was trying to ride that line of giving away too much. So he just didn't give us much at all. But, you know, it encourages us to think a little and try to get to the answer on our own, which is important. I'll miss Jujutsu Kaisen first and foremost. Even on a battle sense, it's one of the, I feel like it's one of the more influential battle series. You know, I think it's, like, picked up the torch from Hunter x Hunter in that regard. I'm not saying it's better. Don't come at me. I'm just saying, if you, like, in terms of a battle system and how the battle system works and how cool the fights are, I feel like it's in that level. And it was really interesting. I loved the fight scenes in this series, and I do love the characters, and I like the story a whole lot. So you'll be missed, Gege. Hopefully you'll be back soon with a new series that is more clearly written. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm gonna really miss the series too.
Anyway, ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Goodbye, Jujutsu
Bye, Jujutsu Kaisen. Peace.
This is part of the war in the Bronx.
Kagurabachi. And with this, I'm gonna toss this one over to Josh.
Yo. Kagurabachi chapter number 51. I don't know where the title's at, but I think it's like towards the end. I think they uh, was Kuboian with this. So anyway,
Simply Kuboian.
yeah. Last week, shit was popping off at the temple at the Hokusuzuku. I made that word up. I don't know. One of those it's the temple where the blind swordsman is at. The swordsman with the contracts to the special bleeds is all collected there, while Chihiro's fighting one of the super deadly Hoshoku sorcerers. I didn't make that one up.
The Hoshoku?
Anyway, Hoshoku, yeah. So, all right. This week it starts with a flashback. Chihiro's a young boy, and he's practicing his swordsmanship. The blind guy's like, listen. You're slicing this shit wrong, all right? I mean, all right. Before the slicing, they have a conversation about smoking and I guess like giving up worldly like desires because they're distractions and the blind guy's contradictions. I guess basically he decided to make himself blind so that he would rid himself of like desires, basically. Excuse me. Which is insane because he still has plenty of desires, like smoking. Anyway, Chihiro's starting to slice this target, and the blind guy's like, "Listen, let me show you how to do it properly." And we cut over to that's the name of the chapter, Samura. That's the name of the blind swordsman. Spoilers, he's about to go fucking insane. So a bunch of fodder sorcerers come up, and these are the guys that use the pills and Percocets to level up and like get super duper powerful then die. But before they get to burn out, they all get smoked by the blind samurai with the assist of the monks. They're using their chanting and spiritual what do you call that with Buddha? Enlightenment. There we go. Spiritual enlightenment to manipulate the tiles on the roof to trap some of the other sorcerers, the invading sorcerers. But so many of them, they can't really hold them all back. And the blind swordsman, they all surround the blind swordsman in this like big temple room with a huge statue of their idol, I guess. As somebody mutters chants in the background. And he's like, look, I can't let all of you just sacrifice your lives for mine. So let me do my thing. We cut to the other contracted swordsman. Forgot his name already. Chris, help?
Shoot, I also forgot his name.
Yeah, it's okay. He's the other contracted swordsman. And he's trying to explain to Hakuri, spatial sorcerer, that like, this blind swordsman, this dude, like, he's the real fucking deal. All right. He's way stronger than me. He taught me that technique you seen earlier. Like, he's gonna make work of these people. And basically they come to the clue, like, Hakuri asks, like, oh, like, what should we do? And they're like, yo, nothing. And because we basically learned that this Samura, the blind swordsman, his battle technique is based on hearing people. I mean, that's how fuck a battle technique. Like, that's just how he knows like where people are at. So we cut back to him. He lights his cigarette, inhales the whole cigarette except for the butt, flicks it towards somebody, and then slices their head and arm off. Oh, he cross slashes them. Sheesh. He's dead. But yeah, samurai attack sounds. Very vicious. So they're thinking that they can just like back. They're like, so like I guess some of the fodder sorcerers realize like, oh, he can like he's blind, so he's probably like listening to where we're at. They jump away, but Samura clangs his sword like with his sheath, and his comrades explain how like he uses like echolocation, much like Daredevil, to like sense where like everybody's at, even if they're not making sounds. So he's killing them all using echolocation. And this guy's like, I'm still nowhere near my master. That's the other contractor swordsman talking about Samura. Yeah, he's a glazer. He's a top tier glazer.
He's a grade A glazer.
Yeah, for many people, it doesn't stop. So the fodder sorcerers that have invaded the temple, not all of them died from Samura slashes. So they're like, oh, we're gonna take these power ups real quick. That'll kill us. So that, just to take you down. It doesn't matter like the tricks you use. Just completely dices them up and runs through them. And as he says, you poor chumps are headed straight to hell for wanton killing. Yo, he did them crazy. So as the monk had stopped playing the like I guess like stopped chanting, and then he went back to chanting after he killed all of them. As Samura says, guess I'm going to hell too, because he realized he killed all these people in front of Buddha, or whoever this guy is. And then we go back to the flashback from the beginning, where Samura shows Chihiro how to slice, and he slices that shit clean. Says, "See, like that." And as they say, Seiichi Samura, contracted owner of the enchanted blade Tobemune. And that is the end of the chapter. Christian, what were your thoughts?
Well, this guy looks like he's not gonna die.
Well, it's not over yet.
This is a guy who looks like he's gonna survive at least this arc.
We'll see.
But in any case, I mean, really cool show off chapter for a new character. I am here for it. He's a very funny guy. He's like kind of a guy who wants to have morals, but like he still kind of tries to cheat his way. He's like, it's that thing where he blinded himself, but he's still trying to look at like girly mags, and he's like, whatever, it doesn't count because I can't see it. I robbed myself of that experience. But he gives into his worldly pleasures all the time, which is really funny.
He tried to read a porn magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing he was blind.
Yeah. But he blinded himself explicitly so he couldn't see the porno mag. Because he knew he would give in to worldly passion. But yeah, he's a cool guy. Got a lot of cool quirks. I'm excited to see what his sword is even like. I'm very excited to see the powers of their swords specifically, because it will just be sick. Echolocation is cool. I didn't really think of that, but it makes sense totally. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But using the sword sheaths as echolocation is pretty sick. He reminds me of Fujitora in a sense, because Fujitora also blinded himself in One Piece.
Yeah.
But his is less to avoid worldly passion and more because he just didn't like the world he was seeing.
Yeah. Oh right, he did blind himself. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. That 2-page spread where the sword is like foreshortened, you know, it's so cool. This chapter is so cool. I don't really have much to say. I mean, it is just a cool show off chapter for Samura. Um, and I'm glad he's super cool and is totally going to survive. But yeah, I'm excited to see more from this guy. He might be my favorite character so far. Josh, what did you think?
This was an exciting chapter. I will say this right now, he looks invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know these were fodder sorcerers, but holy shit, he cleaned them up. Like he looked like when you're playing an adventure game and you run through one of the earlier areas, you know, after already having like being in the late game, you just run through people, no problem.
Yeah.
Kind of do it for sport almost. That's what this was. Use them as practice. But you know, we're both grown ups. I've been reading manga a long time. I think you know how these things can work sometimes. So, you know, I think you know very well that his death is not off the table.
It's not off the table, but I think it's unlikely.
You think those sorcerers that died on the bench was enough? I think that was just a forewarning.
You can think of it if you want. It's dangerous thinking.
Do you believe that they were the ultimate sacrifice of this arc?
Sure.
Good answer.
I guess out of all of them, this is my RGC.
You sure?
I think so. Oh, maybe not.
You think so?
Next year.
Not mine.
You know what? You're right. You saved me because I remembered the next series we're going to talk about.
Well, I don't want to influence no one.
Well,
You
too
know?
late. You've influenced me.
I just want to make sure we don't forget things.
No, you're right. You're right.
So I didn't say that you shouldn't or should not do anything. Just say, hey, remember there's also something else.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, are you ready to move on to the next chapter?
Yes, sir. Then let's go.
All right.
Fi meg pick ned i kjæren min som jeg kan chat.
Undead Unluck. And I'm also going to toss this one to Josh.
Yeah, Undead Unluck, chapter number 224. Good luck. I'm gonna just start at the beginning of the chapter. We have Luna, one of the god figures, one of the manipulators of the game called life in this manga, Luna. You know Luna and we know Sun. And they're basically God, well, the way I see it. So Luna starts saying, in your time, it has been 464.4 billion years since we started this game. I'm sure it must have felt like an eternity to all of you with your limited lives. With the looping power of art gone, all of you can be yourselves. This is the final Ragnarok, as all of the Union members have collected or have been ambushed by God himself, other known as Sun. So this is where I'll say last week the Union members were trying to strategize how they're gonna unlock injustice and also figure out the other quest to get like the important artifacts, but the master rules and then the master rules sped up time to try to cheat, and then Luna took advantage of that entire situation, and you transferred all of the master rules into the sun god to combine their strength and attack them. Shit's crazy right now. We're in the end game here, guys. Make no mistake about that. This is the final Ragnarok. Annie's like Annie's notices that Latla's like blocking off Sun's beam of pure energy and hate. And he's like, oh, hey, Latla, like, you already got that reward? And she's like, I have no idea what it is. Like, someone just handed that shit to me. And Andy makes the point, like, oh, I guess just because time fast forward for us while we was at the table doesn't mean that time didn't still move, like, for regular people. So they probably, like, some of them was probably able to find, like, a few of the artifacts. One of them being, I guess, this thing that helps them block this beam. Do I know the context of it? Absolutely not. But we will try to talk through it in our thoughts later. So anyway, Fuko's like, listen, everybody, this giant being is Sun, God, the final boss of this battle. I'm not even gonna say what she says first. That's a super pause. But basically, she's like, he's hard to take down. Like, he's like one of the hardest, like, Umas to, like,
Do you want me to read it?
Nope. And his attacks are always insta kill. So, she's trying to say that even when we had the sacred treasures, the OP items given to us from our negator god, it wasn't enough to beat the sun. So our first task will be finding an effective attack to use on them. So she sends Mr. Void and Gina, and Gina creates this big ass fucking sword out of her unchanged ability, and then tosses it up to Void, who's unavoidable, and attacks God directly. Which is, I guess, supposed to, it's easy to attack God, right? But, like, they're trying to hit his core because he's essentially a Uma, for all intents and purposes. So as they try to attack, Void realizes that Unchanged got disengaged, and then Undercrease pulls up with his big ass battle suit, and he's like, "Oh, like let me pull up because the gun is mightier than the sword." That's false, bro. It's anime. Swords are always better.
Swords are always superior.
Yeah, you fucking dweeb. Where'd you learn that from? So he empties a undecreasing salvo, and one of the orbs on the sun god basically returns like an equal amount of fire, negating his barrage, his infinite barrage. Basically, it's like he intercepted it, like all of that firepower. That's when Annie's like, "Yo, like, what's up with all of these like spears surrounding God? Like, what's up with that? Like, that's new." Like he had like he's basically like he's like, oh, the ability to change, unchange the weapons that surpass Mr. Creed's like, barrage. Basically, they're like their negation abilities are getting negated. They're getting countered, hard countered. And they come to the realization that the remaining 10 superior rules have combined their might, like, with the sun. And each of them is a satellite that protects them from the attack. So we have to take them down first if we want to defeat God. So Andy's like, oh, now I see. And I'm thinking, oh, now I see too. But I'm going to wait. So he's like, that's why they skipped the quest, right? Like, basically, instead of having like the master rules potentially lose one by one and then have us fight like the sun god, they Luna realized to have them all combined with him now, so he'll be like stronger and catch them off guard. Really good plan, actually. Cheap shit, but good strategy nonetheless. You know, if I was playing Monopoly and was in charge of the bank and nobody was ever looking at me, you feel me? I'd take money out that shit to win. Yeah. You know, I would use that effective strategy.
Oh, there.
And you heard it here, folks. Don't play Monopoly with me. Let me be the banker.
Bro, I suck at
Anyway,
Monopoly.
it's not a bad thing, actually. But that's another discussion, I guess. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, and he comes to the realization that they got to defeat the master rules like within their spheres one by one, um, in order to like attack God's core directly. Um, he also explains how like they have Latla and how her flawless defense will buy like enough time, for them to all like I guess like eliminate the master rules and all of that, and find opening a strike. But they realize that the way he's attacking is kind of like he doesn't even care that he's being blocked. And that's because they realize that the ultimate goal is that he's trying to blow up the entire Earth, which I guess would beat them directly and indirectly. So, another good strategy while also cheating. So, yeah, Luna's like, can you take him down before he destroys the core of your planet Earth? Can you take his core down before he destroys your core?
Man.
Like, bitch, that's not the same. You're ODing right now.
You're doing too much, simply.
But you could have played me in Halo or something. Are you serious?
We could have played Smash for all
Anyway.
this.
Right. Mario Kart. Monopoly. I won't let her be the banker, though, I'll tell you that.
You gotta
That's
find
for
better
sure.
games.
Act 4. Danger. Anyway, so yeah, they have a huge fucking problem on their hands because the sun is trying to blow up their planet while they're intercepting the attack from him. And Fuko's like, you know what? Fuck it. Deploy the Aegis. And Luna is actually surprised, like, what? You haven't even obtained that shit yet. Out of nowhere, we see a giant fucking unbreakable shield get summoned to intercept the majority of God's blast. And Luna's like, oh, well, I was curious about what this Aegis was. And it's funny to think that it was nothing more than a giant unbreakable shield. I mean, it might as well be. It's the same shit. But she's like, oh, it's a mere barrier. All he needs to do is continue to push through until his attack and the shield reaches the core. And Fuko's like, yo, didn't I tell you none of you know a thing about us negators? Yeah. And Luna's like, huh? And she's like, oh, because you gave us 4 months. Oh, that's not okay. That's not Fuko. As Luna's like, what? We hear a voice, and it's like, it's because you gave me 4 months. Because he wasn't, I guess he was outside of the room while time was traveling or whatever. He said, I had the advice that Mr. Billy gave me, the help of the lab members, and the medical instructions given to them by Mr. Rip. I can do it, I'm sure. As we see Chikara is using his unmove while being blind to use his unmove on the shield while it's blocking God's attack so that it doesn't get pushed into the earth. Fucking clutch. Buying them time to all jump into the different spears and have their one-on-ones again. Well, not all of them are one-on-ones, but have their one-off fights with the different master rules. We see, yeah, unchange, pull up with change. We see undraw, interestingly enough, come in with I don't know who that is. I don't remember which
Yeah, I
master
didn't
rule
get
that
to
was.
see very
Uh,
closely.
Obviously, Billy and Untel is probably with War. I think I see like the smoke coming from him or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think that's War.
Yeah. Chikara, no, Fuko and Andy didn't enter the spear, but they did get ambushed by I don't know
I
who
forget who
the
they are. And
nun is supposed to be,
I think one of
but
them is
the
Death.
angel is Luck.
Yeah, I think this one is Death.
Oh,
The nun.
Death and Luck. Wow, that's crazy.
Convenient as hell.
Mm-hmm. While Rip and Latla have their rematch, sorta, against Sick.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
no,
that
what
is
was
sick.
his disease?
No, yeah, it's sick. Right?
Yeah,
Something like that. It's sick or something.
yeah.
We see Shen and Mui also are with time.
Chen. Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know who Draw
Oh
is with,
man.
but I guess if we look back, we can do process of elimination and figure that out.
Yeah, we had to go back a few chapters. But well, that's the end of the chapter, man. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this was my RGC. I loved it. You know, um, I imagine that it is yours as well.
Yes. By process of elimination, no doubt. But also by how obviously fire this chapter was.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. This is a unified, really good chapter of the week.
Unified RGC. Unified RGC. Unified RGC.
Yeah, I love individual battles setups. I mean, again, it's not individual
There's
battles,
nothing
but
better
like
than that.
super
There's
cool
nothing better.
1-on-1 or 2-on-2 or whatever the hell. Just focused battles
2-on-1 is fine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, focused battles.
that are super cute. Okay, so I
Some of
looked.
them with super interesting concepts.
Yeah, I looked. I think the person that Draw is fighting has to be Justice by process of
Justice.
elimination because we see that, or is it Slice? Man, I don't know. But it looks like,
It would have to be Slice.
yeah.
If she's undrawn and he's Slice.
Did
crazy.
they fight Slice? It's really hard to see from afar. It might be Slice. I'm not gonna, but I think like by process of elimination, if it's not Slice, it's definitely Justice. Because I'm looking at all of them now, and we see Soul, where we don't know where he is, but Death and Luck are fighting Andy and Fuko. Change is fighting Gina. War is fighting Billy and Tella. Time is fighting Shen and Mui. Sick is fighting Rip and Latla. And those are the 10, actually. Oh, no, wait. Oh, sorry. Gravity and Slice are two missing ones. So, yeah, it might be Slice. But I'm placing my bet a little bit on Justice, actually, because Justice is in the form of a knight, and there are knights all around this place.
Oh, I see. Maybe Julia will come to save us.
Yeah, possibly. By the way, Sean and Chikara are still with Andy and Fuko, so can't forget that.
Yeah. Who's the third person?
What third person?
that the kid, the robot?
Where?
Where it shows Chikara on page
No, that's
15.
Sean and Chikara. No,
You see the third person?
there's no third person. Where do you see a third person?
What page are you on?
I'm on page. I'm on the 2-page spread at the end.
Nah, go to page 15.
That's Rip, and he's with
Oh.
Lala.
Oh.
But in any case, I love the build-up. It is a little jarring that we're here already. Kind of makes me think, is like, was this low-key canceled or something? I don't know.
Hope not. But I mean, kind of flows. Seems abrupt. But Adara Luck has always felt abrupt,
Yeah,
being honest.
but I felt like this is too abrupt. You know, like we were setting up for quests, and then it's all of a sudden, actually no. Actually, JK. We're going to the final fight. But I guess that's not for us to know really. I thought this chapter was really fun. It's really cool how we're splitting up and we're setting the stage for the final battle. And yeah, I mean that's all I really have to say. I thought it was a really fun chapter to read overall. Unchange, the giant Unchange sword is so cool. Just because like Gina has been kind of indispensable this entire time that she's been around.
Yeah.
I don't know how they ever felt comfortable getting rid of her in the first loop because she's so fucking strong.
She went out her way to find Andy and she lost.
Yeah. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Undead Unluck. It was just like a really cool build up setting the stage chapter that I was very much into. What were your thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I was psyched. I was really excited knowing that we're gonna get the chance to see Master Wolves fight the Negators. They had reasons for wanting to fight them, and not all of them are the direct opposite of each other, which I think is a nice touch. I think it's really cool that their abilities I'm looking forward to seeing how their abilities contrast with each other. I'm really interested in Justice versus Undra. Like just because I don't really know what to expect at all. But the battle I have the highest expectations for drama, aside from Fuko and Andy, obviously. Um it's gotta be this damn. I can't call it. I can see a lot of these fights. Okay, my first thought was the sick fight being probably like the most dramatic one, but they already fought sick. They're gonna make fucking quick work of him. But Mui and Shen got to fight against time. What does that even? How does that even work? And they have untruth, and that's it, right? Just untruth.
Yeah. They have Untruth.
Shen
That's
doesn't
it,
have
yeah.
a negator ability.
Yeah, I think Mui's the one with the Untruth right now.
Yeah, Shen isn't a negator. Fang's gonna pull up.
Oh, yeah.
Fang's gonna pull up to save them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Cause, and yeah, he's like ageless, right?
I think so. Something like that.
Unageable.
I don't think he's
something
on
like
age.
that.
I forget what his thing is. Let me see.
Ripe.
It is. Oh my god. Fang is unfade.
Fade.
Unfade.
Yeah, these fights could go in a lot of different directions. I hope they get enough attention and it's not like half a chapter each or something.
Yeah, I feel like that's how we know it was canceled. If every fight was just like almost one and done.
Without a doubt. It is without a doubt. But yeah, I guess those are all my thoughts, man.
Nice. Well, that was Undead Unluck, and that has been our show. Thank you guys so much for listening. As per usual, you can find me at the Chris Espinal on Twitter and Instagram. Josh is at JDCole_37 on Instagram, at New Jump City Josh on Twitter. Brian is at B.ESP on Twitter and Instagram. He streams on twitch.tv/It's Punchline sometimes. Check out his stream. You can follow the show at New Jump City on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. Email us at newjumpcitypod@gmail.com. And we will respond to you on our pre-show chat show that we do. We didn't do one this week, just as a reminder, but next week we'll be back with a new one, and it'll be exciting. You could subscribe to us, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, any of that stuff helps. Please do that. Super cool. It makes me feel better every time. We got a new subscriber on YouTube, and that made me happy. So, you know, let's keep that going. Let's keep that going. Let's keep this flowing. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you guys next week. Stay safe, New Jump citizens.
Peace out.